Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to Matt Bomer, star of the USA Network show White Collar, and before that, a pivotal player on NBC's Chuck. Stick around.
Hey, did you know that you can listen to the latest Mr. Media on your phone with the Stitcher app? Stitcher is smart radio for your smartphone. Mr. Media is on demand and on the go with Stitcher. Download Stitcher for your phone today. Get the free download at Stitcher.com. That's STITCHER.com.
So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview. You know, MrMedia.com, MRMedia.com. Stop by and check it out. There are nearly 700 archived celebrity interviews for your listening pleasure. The show is brought to you today by our new sponsor, Star Pirates. Star Pirates is a free online sci-fi game that I think you'll really enjoy playing. Give it a try today at www.starpirates.net. Now, you must be at least 13 to play. starpirates.net. Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience of Hollywood's best-looking, most talented young actors and Brandon Routh in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Agent Berger, Neil Caffrey, you're under arrest.
Peter and Neil have a classic relationship.
How'd you stay ahead of me when I was after you? And don't say good looks and charm.
In your average con artist FBI agent partnership kind of way.
Good luck with your little con.
It's not a con.
Well, technically, it is a con.
It's a sting.
Yeah, but a sting's another word. Okay, let's start the sting.
You know, that old story.
Come on, admit it. You enjoyed yourself.
A good con never admits to anything.
White Collar. All new episodes Tuesdays at 10 on USA. Characters welcome.
Who's the mark? Now, I don't think it's me, although I may have gotten White Collar star Matt Bomer here under a false pretense that I wanted to only talk to Bonds, James Bonds, about his current show on USA Network. The truth? Well, if you're a regular listener to this show, you already know. I'm a huge fan of NBC's Chuck, the show where Bomer first made his big career splash as Bryce Larkin, the super spy that turned Chuck Bartowski, into the Intersect. He was also Sarah's boyfriend. And now, with Chuck and Sarah on the verge of becoming engaged, well, I suspect Bryce may find his way back into their lives, even momentarily, even in flashback. Okay, so that was the con. But I've got to fill in around the edges, I figured, to get the prize. So White Collar, now in its second season, airs Tuesdays at 10 p.m. only on USA. And one more thing. Brett Ratner was right and Bryan Singer was wrong. Matt Bomer would have made a great Superman. So if Bomer talks about Chuck, he's the mark. If he'll only talk about White Collar, I guess, well, that'll teach me. Now, Matt Bomer, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thanks, Bob. What a great introduction. Wow.
Well, thanks. Well, got to be honest about stuff. But let me ask you something. Which character, which character is smarter, Neil Caffrey or Bryce Larkin?
They're both really intelligent guys, and what I love about both of them is they sort of operate on the fringes of the moral spectrum. But I think Bryce is a lot more Spartan than Neil. He doesn't use charm or any of the sort of roundabout methods that Neil uses. He's much more direct than that. So Neil, to me, is a little bit more fun because he gets to use a lot more tools in his arsenal. Whereas Bryce is like, kill. Go directly at the problem. He's got, he has other things at his disposal. Neil's not really a fan of guns. So.
Well, also, it's interesting to me that, now I don't know, obviously I don't know you, this is the first time you've been on the show that we've spoken, but there's obviously producers or writers who think a lot of you to be giving you fairly complicated character in Neil, and you carry it off. That I would think, if I was you, that would make me feel pretty good about myself.
Listen, I'm so incredibly grateful to Jeff Easton because without his writing, I wouldn't be here talking to you. And he got on board with me early on and believed in me long before anybody else did. And he saw me through all the hoops and ladders, and I just knew that I had something really amazing for an actor to chew on, and that I was going to give everything I had to make it the experience that it should be with a role that great, So there's no day that goes by that I don't sort of count my blessings that I get to work on his writing.
Now, Matt, the plots are definitely complicated, and the backstory is complicated on White Collar. Can a new viewer still jump in and catch on to what's going on?
Absolutely, because there's a caper of the week element to the show, which is always immediately accessible, and then the bigger mythology going on with the characters is always introduced at the top of the show, so you know what's going on with that. And it is complicated and it is complex. And what I love about Jeff Easton as well is that he answers, he brings closure to the questions that he asks as a writer. He doesn't leave the audience lingering too long, and especially in the upcoming 5 episodes, we get a lot of closure pretty much on the entire Music Box storyline, which we've been building up to for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, new doors are opened that are just as frustrating and mysterious and head-scratching.
It's a good parallel, I think, for people who have watched Burn Notice over the last couple of years. This is a good parallel show to pick up on, because there's all these ongoing issues that some will get solved and some won't, and the character development is still very, very interesting.
Yeah, I feel so lucky to be a part of USA Network that their motto is characters welcome.
Mm-hmm.
What more sense of permission could you hope for as
I keep it
about the character, and they also have the bravery to have serialized aspects to their shows.
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of networks, just because of the day and age we live in and people's attention spans, don't really give shows time to flourish.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they have big serialized elements to them.
Well, Matt, I did kind of warn you, and I've got to ask: what does Bryce Larkin? What would Bryce Larkin think about his former college roommate and his former girlfriend getting engaged? What do you think about that?
I think he'd have a lot to say about it, but I think ultimately he would understand. And on some level, he'd be happy for them.
It does seem like he's
smart enough fan to know that what he wanted with Sarah is a little bit unrealistic.
Is there any chance of Bryce showing up one more time to thwart things, either in reality or in flashback of some kind? Or are you done? We talked about it this season, and then it ended up not working out with my schedule, and so I don't know. It's really up to the amazing writing staff of Chuck and whether or not they think that's something the show needs. So you haven't closed that door?
I love the show. I love everyone there and love working there. And, if it happens, great. If not, I'm so happy for them, and I'll continue to watch.
I talked to a couple of them, a couple of the actors over there, just after they got picked up for the rest of the season. Of course, they were all quite relieved, and they were saying that things were spinning in their heads because, every time that they've been picked up for 9 or 11, they keep expecting that they're going to get shut down. So suddenly they've got like 11 more episodes. So,
oh, that's great.
Did you ever think when you went to White Collar and you got this show that Chuck would even still be on the air now?
I did, actually. I think the fans of that show are very loyal, and there are people out there who really, really love the show. And I think it's also a very cohesive cast and a good group of writers. So, I guess I did. I figured it would definitely be one of those shows that lived as long as the fans wanted it to.
All right, let me squeeze in one last question. We'll let you go. And I don't know, do you find it as weird, this Matt Bomer, Brandon Routh connection with Superman and then with Chuck? Is it pure coincidence? Is it weird? And now I ask you this week because Henry Cavill, I think is his last name, has been announced as the new Superman.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. Do I think there's a connection?
Or is it weird?
Brandon?
Yeah, is it just weird?
No, it's not weird for me. I thought he did an amazing job in that movie. I thought he was the best thing in the movie, and I'm not sure why they hired him onto Chuck. Besides the fact that he's a great actor, but I think they just believed in him as an actor, so they brought him on.
Not weird at all to you that odd connection that you have, or non-connection?
No, listen, I would love to work with Brandon someday. I hope we actually get to be on set at the same time on something.
That would be kind of funny.
That'd be great.
Well,
but no, I don't think it's weird at all. I think it would be, considering the success of White Collar and other things going on in my life, you know, it'd be petty of me to be too specific.
Well, folks, listen, you can see Matt Bomer as super con man Neil Caffrey in the USA hit White Collar every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. And Matt, you're a good sport. Thank you so much for joining us on Mr. Media today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, good luck. Come back and talk to us again.
I hope so.
All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Take care. For more original interviews with your favorite USA stars, surf over to our main website, mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. Subscribe to Mr. Media on iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. Just search Mr. Media Interviews from within iTunes and subscribe for free. You can also listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many locations. If you've got an idea for a guest to comment on today's show or would like to advertise on Mr. Media Radio, email me directly at bob@mrmedia.com. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. On Twitter, it's twitter.com/Andelman, or on Facebook or YouTube, just search Mr. Media Radio or Mr. Media Interviews. Thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for listening.
Hi, this is Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears, and yes, I'm to blame for Mr. Media being married. Sorry, Dale.